last talk, hold on for a couple of minutes. So as you saw when I opened that section, I have a piece of paper what I wrote in 1976, because I tried to arrange everything and record everything which could be important. So when I involved the very first patient in 1992 October, I gave him the number 1. And after that, we collected more and more people, and we recorded all the data, and that was filed very properly in the last 18 years. And from that database, we are going to show you some results. So when we analyzed the results, we found in our database there are 1,969 patients who consumed DW longer than 1 day. This happened between 1999 and 2010. The male population was that percent, and the female, and the median age was 55 years. The median time, the mean between the diagnosis and the start of DW was over 600 days. The median time was roughly half years. The standard deviation was pretty big. When we see the length of DW consumption, the median time was 151 days with a high standard deviation, and this was the mean. If we put together, we could say that our follow-up period from the diagnosis to the end of the follow-up is over 5,000 years. Between the diagnosis and started DW treatment is over 2,500 years, and that patient consumed water for 1,892 years. When we checked the different type of cancer, we found that one, so digestive, breast, lung, and urological, brain, and all these things. And when we removed those people who consumed the DW shorter than 91 days, so there are two groups: consumed all the people who consumed at least 1 day, and only those people who consumed longer than 91 days. We see that the percentage distribution was almost the same in the two populations. And when we compared to the National Cancer Registry, we found that in the population we followed, the breast cancer, the brain, and the hematopoietic cancer were presented themselves in a higher ratio comparing to the National Cancer Registry, and head and neck cancer were present in a lower ratio comparing to the National Cancer Registry. Roughly, we could say almost, so it was very similar. We made a couple of groups of people. So we can talk about 1,969 people, everybody who consumed at least 1 day, and here's the median time between the diagnosis and start of DW treatment. We can talk about a population who consumed the water between a shorter period of time than 91 days, longer than 91 days, those people who has died, and we can say people who are regular users, there are 99 people. If we compare these numbers, we can say that the median time between the diagnosis and the DW consumption almost the same. We can say those who died, they started a little bit later. Those who regular users start roughly, they are very close to the number, which is represent the whole population. When we see all these numbers with the length of DW consumption, we can see that those who are regular users, they consume longer than 1,000 days. Those who died consume, the median time is 142 days. The subpopulation is 288 days, and those who consumed shorter period of time than 90 days, the median time is only 33 days. So we could say roughly they even hardly started to consume. Without any selection, the median survival time of these 1,969 patients is 7.7 years. I think it's higher than if we take any samples from a regular population. This should be higher. But when we see the median survival time depending on how long the people consume the dilute depleted water, that means they consume shorter than 3 months. This is between 3 and 6, between half and 1 year, 1 and 2 years, and longer than 2 years. And it's evident the people consume longer, they live longer. And here are the numbers that the people consume less than 3 months, the median 0.7 years. Here there is a big jump. Even the people who consume longer than 3 months, they dramatically can increase the median survival time. And those who consume longer than 2 years, the median survival time is over 17 years old. We could say, if we say that, of course, to see some effect with DDW, the people have to consume the DDW. And we say that the 3 months could be critical because only 11% of these patients consume the 1 year period who consume longer than 3 months the DDW. But those who consume shorter, who consume longer than 3 months period, 77% live longer than 1 year period. If we make the group and see the group of those people who consume longer than 3 months, so that was 1,300 patients, our median survival time went up to 9.3 years, which is definitely a good number. There is one subgroup I would like to show. Of course, this is the best group. Those people who were diagnosed, who started to consume dilute depleted water, they, in most of the case, sometimes they got a remission, but even they were in remission, they come back and they started to consume DDW again, and after a while they make a break and so on. So we had 99 patients, that was the ratio between males and females, the median age 56 years, and that was the distribution of different tumor types. This is quite similar than the whole population. And just to mention that regular patients, that 99 doesn't mean that they were operated and when they started they were in complete remission. So 65 patients were in a very, very advanced stage, anaplastic ganglioglioma, melanoma with liver metastasis, head and neck cancer patients, colon tumor with liver metastasis, or there are people who had relapsed several times before starting to consume DDW, breast cancer with distal mesothelioma, as Jürgen mentioned. So 65 out of 99 were in a very, very bad stage with a poor prognosis. And when we see the median survival time, the cumulative follow-up of these 99 patients was 585 years, and 8 patients died out of the 99, and of course we were not able to calculate the median survival time because the death rate was so low, even that the follow-up period was over 500 years. We also have to mention that we have a large group for colon bodies. We have over 100 patients, but we have a couple of people with a very, very rare tumor type, Klatskin tumor, anaplastic sometimes chordoma. So these are very rare, only 1 or 2 patients we could see. And we can say that in that case, we also could see the efficacy of DDW. We could see, and we can say that in that case, we also could see the efficacy of DDW. So what can we offer for the people regarding the DDW? If someone is dedicated for surgery and it is possible, we suggest to consume dilute depleted water before the surgery because that can help the people and the operation. We saw that the tumor is decreasing and all these part of the tumor is coming back and the tumor is getting close to the ball shape, so it's much easier to remove all part of the tumor. This is which will be interesting to see in an animal model, the radiotherapy combined with dilute depleted water. We have seen several times that radiotherapy was given, hoping that the tumor will go to smaller, but at the end there was a complete remission, and the patient was tumor-free after that. So we see that somehow that the strong effect, which is strong apoptosis, induced the radiotherapy, and the DDW can even enhance this process. We have seen, so with the, I mentioned the prostate cancer patient, we saw very good combination, the hormone therapy and DDW, and we don't believe that when we got that good median survival time, this is due to only the DDW, this is a combination of the hormone therapy and DDW treatment. And which is very interesting, of course, there are very good anti-cancer drugs for today which were planned to inhibit certain kinases, and in that case we see a very synergistic effect between DDW and these drugs. For example, the IRASA, we have a patient, and the patient was published in Clinical Oncology, who were treated with IRASA because the lung cancer and brain metastasis, and there was a complete remission. That patient were consuming deuterium-depleted water, and I think the reason that the complete remission occurred was because she was consuming deuterium-depleted water. We have patient with chronic myeloid leukemia. She was taking Gleevec, and she is in an excellent condition. For the Herceptin also showed very good combination with DDW. So we can propose that if someone I diagnose with DDW, there is a time period between the diagnosis and the start of DDW treatment. So those who are lucky and know about DDW can start right after the diagnosis. Those who are not so lucky or they don't have any information about, they start it later. If, of course, the earlier we can start, the better. And after the diagnosis, start of the conventional therapy. And hopefully, if everything goes well, there is a time when there is a complete remission. We suggest people to consume DDW even after the complete remission for a period of time. And after, we suggest a short break. At the beginning, we suggest 2-3 months break, and then start to consume again DDW. And the next break could be longer, and start again. And if we follow that for 4, 5, 6 years, at the end we can say finally these people are cured. And we believe that if we can combine and we can integrate the deuterium depletion into oncotherapy, that will dramatically increase the efficacy of the treatment of cancer patients. So we say the 3 months long DDW treatment is a minimum time we have to apply to exert the effect. We say that the successful Peros application of DDW requires at least 3 months life expectancy. The integration of DDW into the conventional oncotherapy can result in a 2-3-fold increase in median survival time. In the group of regular users, the death rate was extremely low, the survival was extremely long. So that would be the final conclusion. Thank you.
Anyone wishing to make some comments? Questions? If not, it seems that it has been the last presentation for the day. And leave for Dr. Trombley to continue.
Okay, so I would like to say thank you everybody for the speakers from Hungary or abroad. I would like to say thank you the organizers. I would like to say thank you my colleagues. I'm very happy to close that meeting, as I do hope that we will meet soon next year or whenever, and then we can continue our discussion and to show more results, and we can involve more scientists, and finally that treatment will be part of the oncotherapy. Thank you very much.